Let me ask you something. If your partner's phone rang right now, would you know for sure who's on the other end? Or are you just assuming? Because here's the truth. When women want to protect an affair, they don't delete the number. They redesign it. They bury it under professional titles, family names, medical contacts, or even multiple fake identities. And while you're living in that false sense of security, she's managing a whole other world right under your nose. Ignoring this could cost you months, maybe years, of being played. Stay with me, because I'm about to reveal 6 specific places women hide their affair partner's name in their phone. If you think you'd catch it, you're about to find out otherwise. Some men believe trust means never checking her phone. Others believe trust is earned through transparency. Where do you stand? Before I break this down, hit subscribe so you never miss these conversations. Drop a like and let me know in the comments. Do you think going through a partner's phone is fair, or is it crossing the line? I want to see where men draw the boundary, since the answers are rarely the same. Now let's go deeper. The very first place women hide an affair will shake that belief system hard. Number 1. Work contact camouflage. This is one of the oldest, most effective hiding spots a woman can use, and the cruel genius of it is this. Work always feels legitimate. You see a name in her phone like Mike, IT Support, or David, Client Services, and you don't blink. Why? Because work feels untouchable. You've been conditioned to believe that work is work. If she says she's texting about a project deadline at 11 p.m., your guard drops. You don't question it, because questioning her work contact makes you feel paranoid, even controlling. And that's exactly why this tactic works so well. Here's how it plays out. She takes her side partner's real name, let's say Ryan, and edits it into Ryan Regional Manager or Ryan Marketing Consultant. Suddenly, every late-night text, every quick call, every excuse to step outside the room has a bulletproof cover story. And if she wants to go the extra mile, she'll create an entire fake company. Mike, Tech Solutions Inc. sounds legitimate. David, Marketing Plus LLC sounds like a real business. But when you try to look it up, it doesn't exist. These aren't colleagues. They're camouflage. Why does this cut so deep? Because work isn't just professional. It's psychological leverage. You, as a man, have probably worked your whole life, sacrificed hours at the office, and you know what it's like to get a late-night email. So when she says it's just work, your brain instantly relates. That's why this cover is almost flawless. It weaponizes your empathy and your trust. Let me give you a real-world scenario. Mark, 45 years old, worked in technical services, hard-working guy. His wife's phone kept lighting up at odd hours with messages from Tom Accounting. Nothing seemed off until Mark noticed those spreadsheet emergencies always happened after dinner, never during business hours. One night, curiosity got the better of him. He checked the number, only to realize Tom wasn't from her company at all. He was her affair partner, neatly tucked away under the perfect corporate alias. And Mark admitted to me later, what stung wasn't just the affair. It was how easily his trust had been manipulated by something as mundane as work. Now, here's the brutal truth. If you see consistent late-night texts from supposed colleagues or company names that sound suspiciously generic, you're not paranoid for questioning it. You're observant. But, and this is critical, don't storm in demanding answers. That reaction makes you look insecure, and she'll flip the narrative on you. Instead, step back and analyze. Are these conversations happening outside normal hours? Do these contacts ever show up in real work settings, or only in her private phone? If her phone looks like LinkedIn exploded inside it, but none of those companies exist, you've got a red flag waving right in your face. And listen carefully. Your job isn't to catch every trick. Your job is to notice patterns. A one-off late-night email? Fine. A consistent relationship with Tom Accounting who only exists in her phone? That's not a coincidence. That's a cover story. Here's my advice. Never accuse, test. Ask neutral questions about those work contacts. Search those fake companies casually. Observe timing. What you're looking for isn't proof you can shove in her face. It's a pattern you can't ignore. That's how you protect yourself emotionally. Because once you start connecting the dots, you'll realize she's not managing projects. She's managing you. And before you think this is the worst it gets, let me warn you, it's not. Work camouflage is just the opening move. The most dangerous hiding spot isn't in her office. It's right inside your own family circle. Number 2, existing contact modification. Now we step into a darker trick, one that doesn't just exploit your professional empathy, but your deepest trust. Family. If the work camouflage felt clever, this one is downright diabolical. Because here, she doesn't hide him under some fake company. She hides him inside the people you'd never dare to question. Her mom, her sister, even your own brother. Think about it. When you see her phone ringing and it says, "Mom," what do you feel? Relief, familiarity, zero suspicion. Because family is sacred, right? Wrong. Family is the perfect disguise. All it takes is one tiny adjustment. She opens her mom's contact, scrolls down, and quietly adds another phone number. That's it. Suddenly, Mom has 2 numbers. One is real, the other connects directly to her affair partner. And because you'd never suspect her mother, every call, every text slips right past you. I've seen cases where women take this even further. They'll save his number under your dad's name, or your brother's. Imagine the psychological warfare here. You see your brother Mike calling her phone, and you feel no threat at all. But in reality, Mike is another man she's romantically entangled with. That's not just deception. That's using your own bloodline as a shield. And if you've ever questioned it, you probably shut yourself down. I must be crazy for suspecting family. That's how this trick works. It weaponizes your loyalty against you. Let me tell you about Jason. He was 39, dating a woman he thought was loyal. One night, he noticed her phone showed Mom calling twice in the same hour. Odd, but not impossible, until he realized Mom had 2 numbers saved. The next time her phone rang, Jason picked up. And it wasn't her mother, it was a man who thought he was calling his girlfriend. That single slip exposed months of deception. Jason told me later, the betrayal cut deeper than the affair itself. Because it wasn't just cheating, it was the humiliation of realizing his trust in family ties had been hijacked. Here's what you need to know. Family contacts are psychologically untouchable. They're like diplomatic immunity in the contact list. Questioning them feels disrespectful, even paranoid, and she knows it. That's why this move is so powerful. It exploits the fact that you'll police yourself before you ever police her. So how do you protect yourself? First, start with observation. If her sister or mom suddenly needs to call every night at 10 p.m., that's not maternal love. That's suspicious timing. Check the call logs. Look for patterns that don't add up. Does the sister always text long messages but never show up in person? Does the dad number suddenly appear, even though you've met her father and know his real number? Don't dismiss these red flags just because they wear the mask of family. But here's my warning. Don't accuse blindly. Don't march in saying, "I know that's not your mom." That makes you look unstable, and she'll flip it back on you. Instead, verify. Call the number yourself at a safe moment. Cross-check with the actual family member if you have access. The truth doesn't need shouting. It reveals itself quietly if you're patient enough to watch. And remember, if someone is willing to hide behind their own mother's name, or worse, behind yours, that's not just deception. That's manipulation at its coldest form. Now, if you think hiding behind family is dangerous, wait until you see the next move. Because the digital world opens up an entire playground where he doesn't even exist in her phone book at all. Number 3, app-based invisibility. If you thought hiding behind family was twisted, wait until you step into the digital world. This is where she builds an entire parallel relationship right under your nose, without leaving a trace in her main phone book. Her contact list might look spotless, no strange names, no duplicate mom. But inside WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, or Instagram DMs, a whole different life is happening. Here's the psychology. Most men only ever check the main contact list. That's the surface. It feels safe. But messaging apps? That's her underground network. Because each of these apps maintains its own contact system. That means her side partner doesn't exist in her phone book at all, only inside the app. To you, it looks like she's just scrolling, just typing. But in reality, she's managing a hidden relationship with someone labeled Danny from Gym on Telegram or PT on Signal. Invisible to you, completely alive for her. And the real danger? These apps are built for secrecy. Disappearing messages, secret chats, auto-delete after 24 hours. She doesn't even need to erase the evidence. It erases itself. That's why when you casually glance at her phone, it looks clean. No trails, no risky contacts. Meanwhile, entire conversations vanish before you even have the chance to notice. Let me tell you about Paul. He was 52, married for over 2 decades. Solid, steady man. But he started noticing something odd. His wife's WhatsApp notifications never stopped. Always lighting up the screen. Always buzzing. And yet, her main contact list was empty of anything suspicious. One night, curiosity got the better of him. He dug deeper, and that's when he discovered Danny from Gym. Not in her phone book, not in her call logs, only in Telegram. A ghost contact living exclusively inside an app. Daily conversations, workout plans that had nothing to do with the gym, and an intimacy Paul hadn't seen from her in years. The betrayal wasn't just in the messages, it was in the realization that an entire second relationship had been living in her phone while he was sitting right beside her on the couch. Here's the painful truth. When you see her constantly glued to apps, when she flips screens as soon as you walk in, it's not just casual scrolling. It might be her double life. Excessive notifications from apps like Signal or Telegram, especially ones you don't use together, that's not nothing. That's activity happening off the record. But here's my advice. Don't blow up the first time you notice it. That's the rookie mistake. Men who explode too early get painted as paranoid. She'll say, "You're controlling," and suddenly, you're the bad guy for noticing. Instead, watch the rhythm. Does the app light up at the same time every night? Do the messages seem constant, even when there's no reason? Patterns reveal more than any single text. And remember, just because you don't see a name in her phone book doesn't mean he doesn't exist. Her phone isn't clean. It's compartmentalized. The surface is for you. The apps are for him. Now, if that feels dangerous, understand this. It gets even worse. Because there's a hiding spot most men will never, ever suspect. A place so sacred, so untouchable, that questioning it makes you look insane. I'm talking about the emergency contacts, the so-called doctors and medical numbers that aren't doctors at all. Number 4, the emergency contact trick. This one is cold because it doesn't just exploit your trust, it exploits the kind of authority you've been trained your whole life never to question. When you see Dr. Martinez or pediatrician office pop up on her phone, what's the first thought that crosses your mind? Concern, respect, zero suspicion. Who in their right mind questions a doctor? And that's exactly why this hiding spot is so effective. Here's how it works. She saves her affair partner's number under the identity of a medical professional, or worse, as her official emergency contact. Dr. Smith, cardiologist. Dr. Martinez, pediatrician. Sometimes she'll even label him as ICE contact in her phone, the number you're supposed to call in case of emergency. To you, it looks like preparedness, responsibility. To her, it's the perfect shield. Because think about it. If you ever asked, why is Dr. Martinez calling at 11 p.m.? She doesn't even have to defend herself. You look paranoid. You look controlling. And the social script is stacked against you. Society says, don't question healthcare. Don't question emergencies. And she knows that. That's why this move is psychological warfare. It doesn't just hide him, it makes you feel guilty for even suspecting. Steve, 41, was dating a divorced woman who always seemed to be on the phone with Dr. Martinez. One morning, Steve noticed a text pop up. "Good morning, beautiful." For a second, he froze. His gut told him something was wrong. But then he brushed it off. Maybe the doctor had a sense of humor. Maybe it was work-related. Weeks later, when Steve finally called that number, it wasn't a doctor on the other end. It was another man entirely. Now, here's the truth you need to swallow. If a medical contact is texting "good morning" every day, it's not medicine, it's manipulation. If an emergency contact is more active than you are in her life, he's not preparing her for emergencies. He's the emergency. So what do you do if you notice this pattern? First, stay calm. Bursting in with accusations won't help you. It'll only get you painted as insecure. Instead, test it. Cross-check. Call the number back at a neutral time. Google the supposed office. Does it exist? Does the cardiology clinic she claims actually pick up? Or does it go to some guy named Marcus? The truth doesn't need force. It reveals itself through verification. And here's the deeper layer. If she's willing to hide someone inside her emergency contacts, you're no longer dealing with privacy. You're dealing with premeditated deception. That means she's not just covering tracks. She's building entire fake identities into her phone's most sacred spaces. And once it gets to that point, you need to ask yourself, is this really a relationship, or is it just a carefully managed performance? Because when the man in her life wears the mask of a doctor, you're not her partner, you're her patient. And trust me, you don't want to be treated like one. But if you think the medical disguise is bad, wait until you see the next layer. Because in today's world, the ultimate playground for secrecy isn't in her phone contacts at all. It's in her social media, where entire relationships can exist without leaving a single trace in her call logs. Number 5. Social media cross-platform hiding. If the emergency contact trick felt manipulative, this one is straight up ruthless. Because here, she doesn't just bend your trust in professionals. She builds an entirely separate world where you don't even exist. And that world is called social media. Instagram DMs, Facebook Messenger, Snapchat. These platforms are her playground. They let her run a parallel relationship outside of her phone book, outside of your visibility, and completely outside of your control. And here's why it works. You don't see it. You're still thinking in terms of call logs and text messages. But she's operating in likes, disappearing stories, and private DMs. Psychologically, this is even more dangerous than hidden contacts. Because on social media, the mask isn't just a fake name. It's a whole identity. He doesn't appear as David, Client Services. He appears as Daniel Fit 92, or Mike Travel Guy, or Art Lover 88. Handles that sound like hobbies, fitness, or work interests. But behind them is a consistent, private line of communication. She can talk to him daily, share photos, even coordinate meetups, and you'll never see his number in her phone. And let's be honest, most men her age don't check Instagram DMs or Snapchat. You might think, that's for kids. But while you're ignoring it, she's thriving in it. These platforms are designed for secrecy. Messages disappear. Stories vanish after 24 hours. She can post something that only he sees. To you, it looks like she's just scrolling fitness content. To him, it's a direct message to meet on Friday night. George learned this the hard way. He was 58, married for over 3 decades. He trusted his wife deeply, but something didn't sit right. She'd spend hours on her phone, laughing, typing, always on Instagram. George brushed it off, until one day, curiosity got the better of him. What he found wasn't just casual scrolling. It was daily conversations with Daniel Fit 92. Not a trainer, not a hobby buddy, but a man she was meeting in person. Photos shared, inside jokes, plans. None of it in her call logs. None of it in her texts. Entirely hidden inside Instagram DMs. For George, the betrayal wasn't only that she was unfaithful. It was realizing the whole affair existed in a world he'd never thought to look at. Here's the lesson. Don't assume that because her phone book is clean, her loyalty is too. The modern battlefield isn't in texts, it's in apps. So, how do you spot it? Look for patterns. Excessive time spent in one app, even when she has no business reason for it. Sudden changes in online behavior, posting less publicly but scrolling more privately. Notifications that vanish quickly, or messages she reads instantly but never mentions. These are not random habits. They're signs of a parallel channel. And here's the critical advice. Don't play the hacker. Don't waste your energy trying to crack her passwords or steal her phone. That's desperation, and it makes you look powerless. Instead, become an observer. Patterns speak louder than screenshots. If she's constantly in contact with a fitness account but never seems fitter, or if her travel buddy always messages late at night, you don't need a password to know what's happening. Social media hiding is brutal because it's not just about secrecy. It's about building an entirely separate story where you don't exist. And the longer you ignore it, the stronger that story becomes. But as manipulative as this is, the most advanced tactic is still ahead. Because the final trick isn't about hiding in one place. It's about multiplying identities. One man split into 3 or 4 different masks, and most men never catch it until it's too late. Number 6. The decoy contact system. This is the one that feels almost like a script out of a spy movie. But let me be clear, it doesn't require Hollywood-level planning to pull off. It just requires one simple trick. Saving the same man's number under different names. And believe me, it happens more often than you'd like to think. Here's how it works. Instead of deleting or hiding a contact altogether, she multiplies it. The same number might appear in her phone as Danny Trainer, Dave Nutritionist, and Dan Massage Therapist. On the surface, these look like 3 separate professionals in her life. But in reality, it's just one person given 3 masks. And the brilliance of this trick is that it dilutes suspicion. If you ever questioned why she's texting the trainer so much, she can simply pivot to, "Oh, that's my nutritionist," and delete the trainer's contact. Nothing looks out of place. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do women really go this far? The truth is, not every woman does. But the ones who are determined to maintain a secret relationship absolutely use strategies like this. And it's not about being a master manipulator. It's about creating just enough confusion so you hesitate before asking questions. Think about it. If you saw 3 different professionals in her contacts, would your first thought be, "That's all one guy"? Probably not. Let me give you a real scenario to bring this home. Alan, 44, was dating a woman who seemed to have a very busy wellness routine. In her phone, she had a trainer, a nutritionist, and a therapist. Alan noticed they all seemed to text her at odd hours, late in the evening, even on weekends. At first, he assumed she was simply invested in her self-care. But then one night, by accident, he called the so-called nutritionist. And who answered? The same man who was listed as her trainer. Same voice, same number, just packaged under a different label. That was the moment Alan realized the decoy system wasn't a theory. It was his reality. So, what are the signs you should be watching for? Pay attention when multiple contacts share the same texting rhythm. Same time of day, same style of language, same frequency. Notice if these different people never actually appear in her physical life. You've never seen her go to a session with that trainer. You've never heard her mention the nutritionist outside of the phone. It's all digital. And that's a red flag. Now, here's the part where I want you to slow down. Discovering something like this can trigger a rush of anger, the kind that makes you want to confront her on the spot, but don't. If you blow up too soon, you lose the chance to confirm the truth. Instead, keep a calm distance. Gather patterns, not just one-off suspicions. If you see 3 supposed professionals, but they all text at the same time of night, that's not random. That's choreography. And let me give you one more hard truth. When someone goes to the trouble of creating multiple fake identities for the same person, it's not about privacy anymore. It's about control. She's not just hiding a name. She's actively managing your perception, playing you against your own instincts. That's manipulation on a deeper level than simply deleting a text. Here's my advice. Don't get lost in trying to decode every contact name. You'll drive yourself crazy. Instead, zoom out. Ask, does the overall pattern of her communication make sense? Or does it look like a cover operation? Because if her contact list looks more like a witness protection program than a real network of people, that's your answer. Alan told me later that what hurt the most wasn't the cheating itself. It was realizing how much energy she put into keeping him in the dark. And that's something every man needs to hear. It's not just about who she's hiding. It's about whether you're willing to live in a relationship built on layers of disguise. Let's bring this all together. We've walked through 6 hiding spots. 6 ways women can disguise an affair partner's name inside something that looks innocent. From work contacts to family numbers to secret apps to fake doctors to entire worlds on social media, and finally, the decoy system where one man becomes many. And here's the hard truth. These aren't accidents. These aren't slips of privacy. Every single hiding spot represents a deliberate choice to deceive, a conscious decision to build a private world where you don't exist. That's not boundaries. That's not respecting personal space. That is premeditated manipulation. But the bigger question isn't, who is she hiding? The real question is, are you willing to keep living in that fog? Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. And the longer you deny it, the more power you hand over. Here's what I want you to remember. Your peace of mind should never be held hostage by a contact list. Your value as a man isn't defined by how well you play detective. It's defined by how clearly you draw the line when deception becomes the foundation. You can either keep rationalizing suspicious patterns, or you can recognize them for what they are, signals that transparency is no longer part of the relationship. And I know that's hard. It hurts. Nobody wants to believe the person they love is building entire disguises behind their back, but pretending it's normal doesn't protect you. It only delays the inevitable. The sooner you accept what the signs mean, the sooner you can reclaim your clarity and your control. So here's my challenge to you. Stop treating manipulation as a mystery to solve. Start treating it as a decision point. Either she chooses honesty or you choose yourself. That's it. If these 6 hiding spots opened your eyes, then don't walk away from this channel empty-handed. Subscribe right now, because tomorrow's video might be the one that saves you months or years of wasted energy. Hit the like button, share this with a friend who needs to hear it, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen signs like these in your own relationship? Which one hit you the hardest? Share your story, because another man might read it and wake up before it's too late.